Now, in this video, we will going to discuss about the types of DSS. Number one, communication-driven DSS. It relies on hybrid network and electronic communication technologies to connect decision makers and to create an environment of resource and information sharing, collaboration, and communication among a group of decision makers. Who are all the decision makers here? The decision makers may be the heads of the organizations or managers among the different departments. They need to take the decision. So they need to take the decision based on, and these decision makers may not be in the same organization or at the same, may not be at the same location, but they may be placed at different locations and different areas. So therefore, they need to have a common sharing, information sharing, and also the collaborations has to be done. So how they will going to do it? They will going to do it by electronic mails. That is, they are sending the emails, interactive videos, video conferencing. That means interaction, video conferencing, audio conferencing, file sharing, report boards, or with group support tools. Then comes the second one, data-driven DSS. It enables access to and manipulation of structured data and can handle time series of internal as well as external company data and real-time data. It enables access to and manipulation of structured data and can handle time series of internal as well as external company data. And of course, all these are real-time data, whatever they wanted to give. It is generally used to query a database or data warehouse to seek specific answers for the specific purpose. So based on the data, whatever it is available, based on that, they will going to ask for the specific answers on the specific purpose. So that means they can be able to infer depending upon the data available. Most data-driven DSS are targeted at managers. So data-driven DSS are targeted at managers means only the managers can be able to use that. Staff and also product service suppliers. It is deployed via mainframe system, client and server link or via on the web. So that means they will going to have the data which is layered in the mainframe so that all the managers at the different locations of the organization can access the data and dump the data into the mainframe so that everybody can use those particular data. Then document-driven DSS. The purpose is to search web pages and find documents on specific set of keywords or search terms. So that is what, if the documentation has to be accessed, then they can be able to do it by this method. The usual technology used for set up such DSS are via the web or a client server system. Next, knowledge-driven DSS. These are computer-based reasoning systems with the distinction that artificial intelligence technologies, management expert system, data mining technologies, and communication mechanisms are integrated. That means all the sophisticated data information or data analyzing softwares have been used to integrate all these things. It is essentially used to provide management advice or to choose product services. So basically it is used for providing management advice. And the last one is the model-driven DSS. These are complex systems that helps to analyze decisions or choose between different options. So when you have this is a complex system wherein you're going to have different models. So those models, which is the best one which can be used, so that we can be able to take the decision or to choose such type of models. These are used by managers and staff members of a business or people who interact with the organization for a number of purpose depending on how the model is set up, decision analysis, etc. So of course these are the DSS can be used by the managers and the staff members of a business or people who interact with the organization. Of course they will going to be in a participation with that particular organization. So those type, and for a number of purpose depending on how the model is set up, and also decision analyzations, etc. Then comes estimating market opportunities for a new product. So this is the next topic, wherein estimating market opportunities for a new product. Market opportunity is defined as the need or demand in a market that the company can capitalize on by introducing a new product or service. So the moment when we talk about a new product, immediately first come to our mind is the what are all the market opportunity we're going to get, because the market survey has to be done. In order to estimate market opportunities, the business model as a whole must be evaluated by identifying various factors as briefed. So what is that? Point number one, market size. The first thing is, what is the quantum of market you are going to have for your product? It is defined as estimating the number of individuals in a certain market who are potential buyers and or sellers of a product or service. So that means when you develop a new product, somebody should be able to buy your product first, and those product has to be sold to the people, so or to be made to service. So that we need to identify. So what will going to be the market size, the quantity, how much can be able to deliver. Companies are interested in knowing the market size before launching a new product or a service. Obviously, market size is the total market sales potential of all the different companies put together. So that should be the total market. The best way to get market size is through local research agencies or collecting data directly from companies. So that means you can have the research agent, there will be plenty of research agencies will be available. You can offload those information, offload them and ask the data taken from those agencies or collect data directly from the companies. Then second one is the market growth rate. It is defined as the rise in sales or market size within a given customer base over a specific period of time. It is defined as the rise in sales for a specific period of time. It is important for companies to know whether the market has the potential for growth or decline for a given product. So that means whether you have a potential to grow on that particular product, whether it is possible or whether it may decline on the given product. For example, the PC market has, that is the personal computer market as compared to the laptop market or the smartphone market is declining slowly, because today nobody will going to have the personal computers, because the disadvantage is it has to be standalone, it should be in a particular specific space. Suppose if you are using the laptop or if you are using the smartphone, you can take wherever you want. Even if a laptop is also some of the disadvantages because it is bulk and it is a huge one. But if you have a smartphone, it will going to serve the purpose of your requirement. Then the smartphone must be easier for them. Hence, that is how they will going to look at the market growth rate. Hence, a new company entering into the business for producing personal computers must be aware about entering a decline market. That means once is invariably, if some people are entering into the personal market, personal computer market, they should also realize that, and they should have in mind about the declining market. The company will now be in a position for finding suitable alternatives accordingly. So if they want to invariably go to the personal computers manufacturing, then they should have to find alternate solutions, so that the best way we can convince the customers to take personal computers. Then comes the profitability. Determining and forecasting profitability is important to understand the market potential. If the expected profit is low, then the volume of sales need to be higher. So if the profit has to be low, then the volume of sales should be higher. If the business is expecting low sales volume, then the profit needs to be higher. So that is just quite opposite. So that means if the volume of sales is high, that means the cost will going to be reduced. Though as naturally the profit will going to be low. So high volume of sales has to happen. If the business expecting low sales volume, if the number of products which will going to stored will going to be less, then actually the profit needs to be higher. Then that means the cost of the individual part or the cost of the that particular part has to be high. Then only the low sales volume, so that you will going to get higher profit. Calculation of profitability to determine the market potential is based on three elements. Return on investment. So whatever the investment you have done, that may be on return on investment, then return on sales and return on net assets. All these things which will going to be incorporated, so that we will going to get the profitability. Then the competitors. When evaluating the opportunities, there is a need to know and understand the existing competition in the market for the product being launched. So there is a need to know, understand the existing competition, because the competitors will also be there on the same product which you are manufacturing of the different companies. So obviously, suppose if you take the washing machine, we have plenty of different companies which will going to manufacture them. So you should have the knowledge about all those competitors' companies' requirement. Small retailers usually suffer under the brunt of large multinational companies. So this is one of the major important criteria which has to be understood, because the retailers will going to have the sufferers. In case of high competition, the market entry barriers are high enough, and at the same time establishing the company and the product requires huge investment. So if you have the high competition, the market entry barriers, so that means if you want to have the enough and at the same time establishing the company, so we should have the huge investment. Product and customer type. Opportunities can also be found by examining the product type and customer category. The frequency of product purchase, for example, soaps, toothpaste, cosmetic products, etc., are purchased on repeated basis compared to one-time purchase like refrigerators or television, etc. So that means if the repeated basis they are using, the cost has to be reduced, that is frequency of product purchase, and also one-time purchases, refrigerator, television. So these are the products and the customer type. So in our next video, we will going to discuss about the new product financial control. Thank you.